Members of the Trump administration continue with their rampant lawbreaking. This time, it's Wilbur Ross, who is ignoring a court order. So, the court order, of course, has to do with the census. It's really important. Basically, the census determines whether or not you're going to get more representation for your area, as well as federal fundings for your city, states, and localities. So, those things are very important. And the census only happens every 10 years. Republicans, though, they don't like the census. They see it as a threat to their power. Now, why? Why would it count for all the people who live in this country, who are here physically? How does that affect their power whatsoever? Well, the answer to that is diversity. America is changing. It is becoming more diverse. You have more black and brown people. And so that is a direct challenge to Republican power. And so Wilbur Ross is doing everything he can to make sure that the census actually misses as many of those people as possible to hurt those communities. Now, there's a wrinkle here as well in the census. It's already been impacted by COVID, by the coronavirus. And so it's actually taking longer to collect census data. And so the courts, for obvious reasons, are, making sure that maybe we could have an extension, have more time to get this done. The current deadline now is October 31st. But the Trump administration, specifically Ross, is saying, no, we're going to have it done. We're going to stop counting. Whether we're done or not, we're going to end this on October 5th. Well, that's if you want to go against a court order, which, again, that's exactly what they're doing. According to an article in Common Dreams, just days after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to reinstate the previous October 31st deadline for the 2020 census, the U.S. Census Bureau late on Monday released a one-sentence statement announcing that Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross plans to shut down the once-in-a-decade count on October 5th in open defiance of court instruction. The Secretary of Commerce has announced a target date of October 5, 2020 to conclude the 2020 census self-response and field data collection operations, the Census Bureau said in a Twitter post, just minutes before a court hearing on the administration's compliance with last week's court order. In response to the statement, Judge Lucy Koh of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California ordered the Commerce Department to turn over records related to the decision to shut down the census on October 5th by Tuesday, that would be today, at 1 p.m. Of course, as of filming this, I still don't know if they had complied with this order. They may not. But understand that Republicans are doing this because they are afraid of the changing face of America. Instead of majority white, it's becoming majority minority, which, again, would make them not the minority, but the majority. And there are certain white people that are super afraid of that. They are deathly afraid, and as a result, deeply racist. They don't want people that don't look like them to count, immigrants. And look, it's not because they're automatically liberal. That actually does have a lot to do with it. But here's the thing. Minorities are more likely to vote for Democrats because Democrats don't openly despise them the way that Republicans do. If Republicans actually wanted to win the Latino vote, for example, well, they would have to reach out with policies that help Latino people, right? But they're not doing that. Why? Because there's a large chunk of the Republican base that's racist. And so they don't want to offend those people. So instead of changing their outreach, they're just making sure that people can't vote. Making sure people can't vote, and also making sure that the people that are here do not get representation. Now, civil rights groups have been fighting the Trump administration on this. Complying with a federal court's order is not optional. Treated immigrants' rights groups Make the Road New York. The Trump administration is flouting the rule of law to undercount and erase our communities. Senator Jeanne Shaheen said on Monday that Ross's defiance of a federal court order which the Trump administration is currently appealing, is disturbing and another example of the Trump administration politicizing the census. Shaheen warned that rushing the census risks an inaccurate census and a constitutional crisis. Well, that's not the only issue here. Once again, the Trump administration is ignoring the courts. Whatever happened to law and order? Oh, right. The only law and order that matters is theirs. Of course. In a statement late on Monday responding to the Trump administration's effort, House Oversight Committee Chairwoman Representative Karen Maloney says this, quote, "This should not be a partisan issue. The Trump administration's unlawful undercount will negatively affect the hundreds of millions of dollars that both red and blue states are due in federal funding. It is time that the Trump administration stop working to politicize and jeopardize the 2020 census." Democrats, you still don't get it, do you? Wakey, wakey, Democrats. They don't care. The Republican Party is not a rational actor. They're not an actual party. They're not a political movement. They're a death cult. Okay? They don't care that their undercount will hurt communities of color. Because that's the point. That's what they want to do. And they don't care that it's unlawful. Tut-tutting them and giving them, a strongly worded letter or condemnation isn't going to do a goddamn thing. He'll laugh as he balls up that letter and tosses it into the nearest trash bin. No, what you have to do is hold him in contempt of court. Put him in jail until he follows orders or until there's a ruling that is different. Again, strongly worded letter isn't going to do a damn thing. And look, Wilbur Ross, he's laughing at you, okay? The Democrats, because you're too goddamn weak to do what needs to be done. He knows exactly what he's doing. And look, I, for one, am pretty tired of having a criminal administration. And I get it. Every administration has done illegal things. Maybe if we actually punish them, they might stop doing illegal things. I know it'll probably never happen. Certainly not under a Biden presidency. But it's never too late to start holding these people accountable. Whether or not they will or will actually happen, I don't know. But nonetheless, we'll have to see. I hope the Democrats can be strong and actually hold, Wilbur Ross accountable, or Ross gets smart and decides, I'm going to follow the courts. Again, we'll have to see.